All the
Get
way
ready
up.
to
All
go
the
live
way
with
up.
Facebook.
Live on Facebook. Hey, Reggie. Marcelino. Hey, Alicia. How you guys doing? I'm super excited tonight, guys. I have a stellar cast. Blessed. Amen. I think we're about ready. What y'all think? We've got
Okay,
to
it's
get going.
preparing.
Or
2
just
minutes to
get
airtime.
2 minutes to air, John.
Wait, was I supposed to send the link or just the
Hey, Ronnie.
the advertisement?
Cousin.
Now you got to send the link too.
I want to get Toy, and David, and Lynn. Oh my goodness, we're going to have so much fun, you guys. So much fun. Let's get it. Here we are. We're here. Next video.
Where did it go?
Okay, guys, let's do it.
Okay, I think we are live now on Facebook, guys.
We're about ready. Hey, John T.
Yep, we're live on Facebook. And should be 1 minute. 1 minute to Jackie's drop to start the show.
1 minute before the
Dante
drop.
says the sound is perfect.
Sound is perfect, guys. Good news. We love it when sound is perfect. Hi, Peter. How you doing tonight? Girl. Yay.
Joy, I can't hear you.
So how do I change the background?
Oh, go under. You see where the video, the stop video is? See, there's an arrow on the side. Click that arrow, and it should tell you virtual backgrounds, and you can pick something else.
Look at you, Godmommy.
You see Lori getting it up.
Do they already have backgrounds there? You have to add your own background?
Sometimes there should be some preset ones on the app already, but you can also upload pictures if you want. But there should be 1 or 2 already preset. Okay, we're live now. Music.
The sounds, guys. Poetry Justice Show. Give it to me, Dante. Good evening, and welcome to the Poetry of Justice Show with JackieRay Phillips on YikesRadio.com and AccelerateRadio.net. Now here at the Poetry of Justice Show, what we do is we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying in unison, panel, yikes! Hey, now those are the sounds of my mentor, the Mr. Kevin Nash. And you know, Mr. Nash is the owner of Yikes Radio and AccelerateRadio.net. And so what I love to do is give homage and respect to my mentor, because if it were not for him and his amazing platform and what he does, it wouldn't be so easy for someone like me to do what I so love to do. So I love to give him a shout out. And then I have to give an honorous shout out to my benefactor, Ms. Lori Ray Fisher of Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company. Thank you so much, Lori G, for your support and all that you do for the Poetry of Justice show. And then I'm also going to give a very special shout out to the amazing and beautifully talented ladies of the chat, which this show is sponsored by tonight. These are some amazing women we have on the panel tonight, everybody. So I'm really, really excited. And thank you so much to the ladies of the chat and your commitment to the show. But I've also got some new sponsorship, and that is G Babies Catering. And that's GBABBIES Catering, GBabies.catering. So what you guys want to do, hit them up on IG, Instagram, Chef Mac, GBabies, voila, you got to do it. And then, of course, we have 93 Tweed FM, spectacular low rider oldies at their finest. You want to check this guy out, each and every Thursday night, everybody. tweedcadillac.com. And then I'd like to go on ahead and give an amazing shout out to the one, the only, the fabulous G. Lou Show. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch this guy on Westside Wednesdays on Wednesday nights. You also can catch him on Friday nights on Flashback Fridays. On Saturdays, there's the G. Lou Show podcast. And my very, very personal favorite is Sundays, OG Sundays, where they doing it at. You got an amazing cast in the Sunday night show. You've got the Queen Jean, you've got Big Flossie Stevenson, Long Beach finest, and none other than Gangsta, the Gangsta. You definitely want to check that show out, everybody. And then we roll on down the trough to the meats and the potatoes of the bunch, and that is the WMPJ Steelworks and APS Muscle Cars. Let me tell you a little something about APS Muscle Cars, guys. There's been an expansion, everybody. And so we have a really beautiful, beautiful facility over in Signal Hill, California. And what happens over here, everybody, is that if you have, they've got some expensive toys. Let's just put it out there. High-end vehicles. We're looking for low riders. We're looking for any nice, fancy cars that you have and you need to have a store and you don't want to have to deal with it. You want to know that your car is safe and sound. You want to check this guy out. Memo, M-E-M-O, with APS musclecars.com. Check out the website, guys. There's some really, really nice stuff on there. So you definitely want to do that. So I also want to introduce a new idea tonight. Lori G, is this time to go for it, or do we want to go further down the trough?
Maybe a little further down.
All righty, Sissy. Sissy says we're going to go further down the trough. So I wanted to welcome everybody to the Poetry of Justice show with JackieRay Phillips, where social consciousness meets the arts. Tonight, we have the amazing ladies of the chat, but we also have additional cast members joining us tonight. Lori G, the executive producer of our show, is going to go on ahead and introduce our panelists for us tonight, in addition to the ladies of the chat. How are you, Lori G?
I am doing well. How are you?
Great, thank you for asking.
That's good. And how are all the ladies of the chat tonight?
Very well, thank you.
You guys well?
Yes.
Ready to jump in? Tonight's going to be a wonderful, amazing night, and we are so happy that we have so many guests with us tonight.
Yes, you're blessed. Amen.
Exactly, we are. So I am very happy to introduce a friend to the POJ show and the chat, and also my goddaughter, which is Miss Joylyn Simmons, is going to be with us tonight on the panel, sharing some thoughts and ideas from her generation. So very excited about that. We also have the very lovely Mrs. Chris Fisher, who definitely is a good friend of the POJ show and hangs out with us all the time here. But we are introducing in their debut appearance a very good friend of mine, Mrs. Lori Rucker. Welcome to the show, Lori. And Lori is an educator and also the wife of our very outspoken and friend, Mr. Jerome Rucker from the Brotherhood Show. So we're very happy to hear what Lori has to say and to join us. And guys, just a couple of seconds ago that showed up on our panel, we are so honored to have Mr. Chico Brown with us. Yay, Chico. Always brings a wonderful perspective.
Hey, Chico.
How you guys doing?
All right, how are you?
It's kind of loud. I'm gonna go some.
Okay, and I
I can right there.
So welcome to all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So tonight is going to be, I hope, what turns out to be a real explosive show. The opportunity to talk about a lot of different issues, a lot of different things that are going on. Our show is the What is Going On, in the words of Mr. Marvin Gaye. Yes, what is going on? So we're going to put some topics out on the table and kind of chop them up. And I'm wondering, Miss Shelley, see, you're pretty quiet tonight. You got some topic you want to just let loose on so we can get the conversation started?
So many.
Oh my God.
Where do we start? Where do we start?
Exactly.
From Beyonce's Black Parade song to Mr. Trump and his expecting $1 million and only have less than 20 million there. They had to break down the stage and hardly nobody showed up.
Are you kidding?
Of course he's gonna blame
That is late breaking news.
Yeah. Of course he's gonna blame somebody else, the media,
Whatever. No, these people don't want to get freaking COVID. How about that?
How about that? Yeah. How about that? But he played it up and said, the numbers are going down, according to Mr. Trump.
He's such a liar.
We've got a lot of stuff. We've got Juneteenth that many people, including a lot of people that I work with at my company, that didn't know anything about Juneteenth, and we celebrated it every year. And
let's stop there, Shelly C. I think that's good. We're gonna circle back, but we can't just let the Juneteenth, where 45 said that he was the one that brought that to light. Ladies, how many of you have heard of Juneteenth before? Has anyone heard of that?
I have, but how is it that you're going to tell me about when I was freed? How you going to know before me when I was freed?
Well, this is true. That is very true.
Tell me about my history. Again, I'm sad that my girl Miko's not here, but she could really shed some light on history. But when I was in school, they never told me about the Tulsa massacre. They never told me about Juneteenth.
Right.
And my son told me tonight, of course, in school, they don't want us to know how powerful we were. They don't want us to know about Black Wall Street back then. And by keeping it from us and keeping it out of our history books, they thought that they could keep it from us. But we've been celebrating it for years. We've known about Juneteenth for years. We just aware number 45.
Joi Michelle, did you I was interested. Joi Michelle, did you learn about Juneteenth in school?
Huh? Say it again?
I was asking Tanya if she learned about Juneteenth in school.
Oh.
No, actually I didn't. I don't remember the point in which I learned about it. And I think I remember being kind of perplexed, like they teach you all this other stuff in the history book, even when the slaves, with the Emancipation Proclamation and, the freed slaves and all that, but you never heard about this. And it wasn't until later I realized it took 2.5 years after they were supposed to be free to get free, right? And so to Shelley's point, no, it wasn't something until I took African American history class or something like that I found about it, but it wasn't in the generic history.
Right. What about you, Lori?
I learned from my parents about Juneteenth. I don't know about relying on the educational system to teach us about our history, considering that we're not in those books that districts are publishing. And so that might be an avenue we want to look at for our kids, because if our parents aren't teaching us, then we're really not knowing our history and not knowing how powerful we are and what a mighty background we have.
That's true. Joi, so being, are you a millennial or Generation X? What group are you with?
Millennial.
Millennial?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were going to school as a millennial, did you hear about Juneteenth in school?
Not at all. We just heard that we were slaves.
And that was it.
That was it. Nothing.
Well, you can just mute that one, can't you, dear?
What happened?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm getting
mute the back noise.
some mute. Somebody,
Oh, is it my back noise? Okay.
I don't know who.
No, I think it's one of the panelists. I think maybe Chico. I'm not sure.
Okay. There we
Chico,
go.
you there? Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know anything in school about Juneteenth. I just knew that we were slaves and we were free after 400 years, but that was it. It took me maybe about 3 or 4 years ago to really understand what Juneteenth was actually about. Unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
No, never heard about Juneteenth until I were like years. I was an adult with children my own self to even, hear about
what this is even about. Didn't even know nothing about it until I started asking, like, what's that for? Day is that? What does that mean? You know, it could have been like in my 30s or something like that. But never heard about it in school. I didn't even like history in school. I remember telling my daddy and my brother one time, they came up there to try to get me because I wouldn't go to history class. And I told them, I'm not going to that class because ain't nothing in there that I want to see. They got nothing to do with me. They don't look like me. They don't know nothing about me. And I don't want to know nothing about them.
Wow.
Juneteenth, everybody.
So I'm interested, Lori, do you think the educational system will begin to incorporate more about Juneteenth and holidays like that after, you know, this explosive moment in American history?
No. I think that if we don't get behind our educational system as African American parents, then no movement will happen. LGBT was able to get in social emotional curriculum into the public schools, and that was because they were very adamant and an advocate for the change in the curriculum. And so us as African American people have to make a move on the public education and say, hey, we need to be included. Until we start backing it and raising some eyebrows at board meetings and in the principal's office, no, we won't have any say in the history books, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, definitely. What, ladies, what do you think we can do as parents, as community people to try to help that?
But, you know, this is what I was going to say, and this is just an honest point for me, and I don't know, you know, when Lori was saying that it's up to the parents to teach about Juneteenth, and Joi is a panelist, and she's my daughter. I never taught her about Juneteenth. And so, you know, I don't know if it's the history or what a certain a family has experienced that makes them talk about it. I don't know why I didn't talk about it. I don't know if it wasn't important to me because I wasn't having I don't know what it is. I'm just being open to the panelists, right? But I don't know how many of us on here actually talk to it about our kids. I mean, I celebrate it. I know that, you know, I recognize it, but it wasn't like a conversation for me of like, I got to sit down and talk to you about, you know, what this is. Now today for me and the knowledge that I have, the experience that I have, and a lot of things that's going on, would I do things differently? Would I talk about it more? Yeah, but as raising Joi, I didn't talk to her about it. You know?
Right.
Yeah, no, and Tanya, I wasn't saying that parents are responsible for doing it. I'm just saying that's where I learned it from. Right. I think the onus comes on parents and also the school system to tell the true story. But in order for us to force the hand of a school district to tell the true story, it's going to take us as parents to go in and put some pressure on them. That's how things change. That's how policies are changed. And that's how people are addressed in the school system, right? So as a world, we're talking about DACA and DACA and DACA. Well, before DACA was us. And, you know, we as African Americans haven't been included in anything. And it's because we're not pushing the envelope and pushing the policies that need to happen in order for these things to change. You know, we have, I come from the educational background, you have English language learners. And, you know, at one point we were talking about how African Americans might speak Ebonics and things like that. But really we have my husband talks about we're not multilingual, but trilingual, because we have to speak a white American language. We have to speak the African American vernacular, right? Mm-hmm. And then depending on where we are in corporate or in the streets, we got to speak a whole nother language, right? So we're expecting our kids to learn, and they're not even being included. So if I'm not included, I'm not interested. And now you see how our kids are becoming disinterested. Like, I think they need to know that their ancestors came from a mighty long way. You know, when you think about the slave trade and how long they traveled in a boat, no other race could have done that. So we come from a strong bloodline. And if our men and women understood that's a heck of a bloodline, no other race had the power to control the body composition to endure such a long travel, a battle that was not set up to win, and yet we still won, not only because of God, but because God allowed us to endure it. And you know, how can you got to tell your kids about that, because we are kings and queens. Amen. So people should address us as kings and queens.
Amen. Amen. I agree. Definitely. Chico, you're pretty quiet. You still with us?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm listening.
Hey, Cheeks.
What's going on?
What you think about all of this, Chico?
I was listening to you guys talk about Juneteenth, and some of you said you didn't know about it. The funny part of my life, I found out about it in prison. When I went to federal prison, they celebrate Juneteenth like a national holiday inside the prison, because I guess a lot of people from all over the country, you know, from Houston and in the South that was in there. And I didn't know until probably, I think, like 93 when I found out. But it's a big celebration. It's sad to say, but inside in the penitentiary it is. But on the streets, it's not. Like, we never celebrated Juneteenth in Compton. So, you know, but a lot of men knew about it. But once we got back on the street, it was not celebrated. I think there should be a movement, and we should start celebrating it more. But I'm actually going to put something together in Compton to make sure that happens. So next year we'll have a bigger celebration.
I definitely agree. I think that's good. I don't know. I have a double feedback, guys. Do you hear me echoey?
A little echoey?
Somebody is echoing.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't figure out why that is. Are any of you watching Facebook Live?
Yeah, we had a little tech over there. I'm on Facebook Live with you now, Lolo.
Okay. Did we turn the sound down on that?
No, why?
No. I was wondering if that was the feedback, but it seems to be gone now, huh?
I don't hear it now.
Yeah, good. I don't hear it now. Good.
Better.
Cool. So I wonder, I kind of like with you, Tanya, I did not push the education and learning of Juneteenth to my children. But this year, as Chico said, I've begun to reflect, like, you know, I think this is a holiday that I really have an obligation to pay more attention to, you know, that I need to celebrate more and incorporate some particular rituals or traditions within my family. What do you all think about that? Do you think that'll change for you next year? Or do any of you have traditions that you currently do?
Yeah, I think it's going to change a lot in my family. Just like you and Tanya mentioned, I did not educate my kids on Juneteenth. Actually, my children educated me on Juneteenth, which is amazing. Because my son said, yeah, you didn't know that? I mean, we learned that in Black history class. And he's the one that educated me. Now, he said, because again, like I said before, they don't want them to know how powerful we are. You know, Black Wall Street and what we had back then. We were still thinking that we were very poor and didn't have much back in the 1920s, but actually we had it going on, as my son would say. And again, it took them, the millennials, to educate me, because I didn't know anything about that. My grandmother and my great-grandmother and my mother, as much as they like to talk about family history, that was something that was never mentioned. And I don't know if it's because we were from Tennessee and then moved to California, but because it was very big in Texas, from what I understand. And I have some friends from Texas that they said all their life, that's all they've known to celebrate it. So I don't know. Maybe it was a particular region. Maybe, again, it was stifled a little bit in high school for me and in college, because again, they don't want us to know how powerful we were back then, for them to massacre us in hundreds and be upset because how does the Black person have a grand piano in their living room and we don't? Again, something I learned through my children. I didn't learn it through school or anywhere else. I learned it through my children.
Okay.
from the mouths of babes.
There we go. Yeah.
I did. What about you, Lori? When did you first learn of Juneteenth?
I think I might have been in college when I learned about Juneteenth. And as you say, I took a history class where in that class it was talked about and celebrated. And I got a chance to learn more about it. Now, I have to say, at my job, you know, all of you know I work at SC. We've been doing, I think, as a Black faculty and staff, Juneteenth celebrations for maybe the past 15, 20 years. But this year was the first year our university president's office actually put on a celebration for the entire USC community.
Wow. So, okay, is he right? Was he right in saying that he made it famous?
No.
You know what I mean? Is he right?
No.
If we're saying, I'm just being devil's advocate, throwing it out there, everybody.
No, he isn't. I think he took the opportunity because he learned about it. I think he took the opportunity to bring it up. But, you know, for example, on CNN, I think, you know, it became so famous this year is because I think of all the unfortunate events that have happened with George Floyd and all of the protesting. I think that's why it became publicized. But as far as making us as a people aware of it, he had nothing to do with it. Of course, he wants to take credit for it.
Well, Shelley, he did state that he, in fact, had not heard of it initially. He went on to say that he asked everyone he knew, and no one he knew had heard of it until he decided to ask a Black Secret Service agent. And he asked him, what is Juneteenth? And so the agent told him what it was. So then he went and told his friends at Mar-a-Lago, and ergo, he made it famous. Thoughts, panelists?
Well, I think it's because he decided to ask somebody. I don't think it's because he took the opportunity to research it himself. And if we look at President Trump's inner circle, none of them knew about Juneteenth. We can almost say none of them did, because he wouldn't have asked the Secret Service agent. He would have asked his so nobody knew about it, even his inner circle, the people that he keeps close to him. He just happened to walk past a Black Secret Service person to ask them.
Yeah, well, I guess you got to give him credit, Shelley. He did his research, right? What did Dante say? They just, what you say, Dante? They should ignore it? What Dante say?
He did. He said that they definitely knew about it already before Trump. And he said they just choose to ignore it.
Yes. Again,
oh my God.
I think it's possible that they didn't know about it, because if you look at the history books that were taught in high school, elementary, and middle school, it never references it. And as a white American, do they study Black history?
No.
Yes.
No.
So
yes, they do.
I don't even think they even thought about it, you know.
They
Not at that level.
I bet you the Pope know about it. Yes, they know. They definitely know about us. That's why they do what they do, to keep us asleep, because they think most of us don't know who we are, which it all goes back to who you are in Christ, because they know that we have that power in us, but they don't, they can't. That's why they get nervous when they're around us, because that light in us is so powerful that we don't know we emulate that light. For those of us who don't know who they are in Christ, but some of us who, if you don't even know, you can just walk past somebody and they can just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
They can just feel the light that you have in you, and they know that. Them scientists are back there. They're not back there doing nothing. The one that you can't see, the devil used he got people back there you don't even see. You don't even know what they're doing. It's bigger than what you even think this is. This is actually small. This is not nothing.
Yeah, Chris, I was thinking about we're powerful and stuff, and I was thinking about what Lori said, and I think the question that I want to pose is, if we are that powerful, how come we're not in the history books? How come the LGBT community has made their way to history and in print, and we haven't? And so what is it that's stopping us as an African American group for getting the things that we know is right done? And I think I want to pose that question to the panelists, because sometimes I think, honestly, sometimes I think we're united, and sometimes I think we're divided, and sometimes I really don't think we're all on the same page, depending on your socioeconomic status. So yeah, we've come a long way. We celebrate Juneteenth, but we've not yet made a strong movement, right? And if we're that powerful, how come? And so they know we're powerful, but they know we're not doing nothing with it either. And what is that? Is that from fear? Right. Is that from low self-esteem? Is that from, you feel like that your foot actually is always in your neck about something? Because we always have to present ourselves differently everywhere we go. So we're that powerful. Mm-hmm. They know they have to be scared of us once we become powerful, if we finally unite. But I don't think we're there. I think we're on we're transitioning. We're on a glide path to get there. We're trying to rev it up to get there. But after all these years, all we've been saying, we want our, 400 acres and a mule and this, that, and other. That's everything we've been saying. We want reparation, but we've not had done anything documented to make sure that our voices are just as equal as everybody else. So I don't want to educate me, but I think that, there's still some, there's still something underlying with the African American race that we can't seem to get traction in the things that we want to accomplish.
Well, guys, I have a comment from our Zoom room, which we've got about 8 people listening right now live, so that's really exciting. Tiff Wiltshire, I apologize if I said your name wrong, but Tiff says, we don't know how to gather and unite in numbers that bring about change. We have so many issues that need a resolution that we don't focus on one to bring about change. It's like multitasking. If you are working on too many things, nothing is done to fidelity.
Yeah, so I would agree with Tiffany on that, because what LGBTQ did was they focused on one thing, right? And even though, wait, hold on one second. Even though, sorry, that's the multitasking that I do, right? And mom, and it got kids all over to the left and everything else. So
there you go.
We don't multitask. I mean, as an African American community, we need to come together with one thing in mind, right? So if it's reparations, we need to focus on reparations. If it's equality in education and making sure all our kids are all our kids and they're going to be included, we need to focus on that. And sometimes people look at me negatively when I say we got to focus on one low-hanging fruit, and we got to knock that out the park. And whatever that low-hanging fruit is for us as the African American community, we actually need to just focus on it and ask and demand, and then put our money behind it. I hate to tell you, but we got to put our money behind it.
I agree with you.
We spend so much money on everything else, but we got to put our money behind it, because money talks.
And that's something I do want to bring up, working in the health department, and we're incorporating so many things with the LGBT community to make sure, we're addressing them properly, or making sure they have the right care. And just sitting in meetings day after day or week after week, you see they have one agenda. And you're like, oh, okay, we can help. Next thing you know, 2 days pass, they have all the money in the world. And so it moves just like that. It gets into the schools. It gets into the healthcare system. They make you have these classes and trainings on how to address transgenders or how to do this. The health department makes you go through trainings daily just to make sure that we're up to date with how to address them or how to do proper care. And there's money in the LGBT community when it comes to, unfortunately, the HIV epidemic. There's money behind it. So with us, they see that we're very powerful just by ourselves, but they know that if knowledge is power, there's going to be a whole flip that they don't want to see. So if someone comes to the system, to the education system, and say, hey, we want you to put this in the books because it represents our culture. This is the truth. This is what happened. They may say, oh, okay, I might put it in there, but not tell the truth all the way. And then behind it, if someone throws some money or you have somebody that's big pushing money behind it, I bet you'll get an easier response out of them.
Well, you know what? You're gonna be LGBT because we don't judge the person. The act of, we already know that act is not right. So of course, the world is gonna make it look like, oh, it's okay to be that type of way. When in reality, it's not okay to be that way. So of course the world's gonna say, ooh, come on. Yeah, we'll help you. When it comes to reality and us, I was telling somebody last week, I said, the Black woman needs to have a Black Woman Million March.
We need to hear you a little louder, Chris.
Yeah. Every Black woman, we need to have a Million Woman March. I'm saying a Black Woman's Million March. Not a, like the Black man had a, I don't mean we see all those Black women and then little speckles of white. I mean Black, and then everybody else who want to gather, okay, they behind. But I mean us women getting together and literally being on one accord. And if we focus on, like she was saying, on one thing, we all have to have that same mindset, because it's your thinking. The power is saying what you want and seeing it come to manifest. Because when you think about who you are in Christ, you already have all of that. It's already yours. But how do I see that right now here in the natural, in this body right now?
And Chris, you're absolutely right. So I just use the LGBT as an example of movement of money, right? Yeah. And changing the policies. But you take Hispanics, right? And DACA. You take the Dreamers Act. If you really look at it, it was a force of a lot of dreamers. And we think just only Hispanic dreamers, right? But we're talking Filipino. Yeah. We're talking about refugees. We're talking about Africans, we're talking Nigerians, all of these people got behind one cause, and that one cause changed laws. Us as African Americans got to get behind one cause, and we got to say, you know what? I mean, it's time to put up. Like as women, right? We already know we strong. Okay, we need women and men to march together. We need our Black men. No, we need our Black women.
We need the Black women to be in the front, and then our Black men, that's the strength, needs to be behind us, showing that I got your back.
Right.
Like your marriage. You're married. You know what I'm saying? You got you, and you got your husband that got your back.
Sign me up. I'll come. Sign me up. Yeah, sign me up.
But you guys, keep in mind with the LGBT community, remember, California was already, and some other states were already ahead of the federal government. We've been acknowledging and giving rights to LGBTQ for the last 3 years in the state of California. It was just on a federal level that it was recognized. But remember, there were many states that were already behind that community. So I don't know, does it need to start at the state level? Because
absolutely, it needs to start at your local level, because your local level, right? When we think about these police chiefs are getting picked by the mayor, did you vote for your mayor? And then is the mayor hold this guy accountable?
It's exactly what I'm trying to say.
And your board, it starts at the school board.
But just because they just announced it, they just announced it on a federal level. California has been recognizing that group for over 3 years now.
Okay.
But as African Americans, don't you feel a little bit cheated? I mean, they protected in so many ways that we are not.
Exactly.
And we've been here longer. Like we
built this place.
Always.
Come on now, Chris. Who built this
place?
Who built it?
We built this place.
You take our brothers out the NFL. Who's playing?
Nobody.
How about
brothers out the NBA? Who's playing?
Out of basketball, out of baseball.
Really? Only team you're gonna have is baseball, and baseball is all from Puerto Rico. So you take them out, them some brothers too.
They brown. They brown.
Who's playing? How come we haven't been protected?
Right.
And I said, speaking out of love, because I have a very close friend who learning the LGBT thing was a whole nother issue for me, being in Christ, right? But they're protected better than I am.
Correct.
Now, should we feel a little way?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, but I think, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot about the LGBTQ movement. I'm learning, as you say, Lori. I have, friends or people in my group that are educating me and bringing me along. But I think one thing that happens with that is that they don't. That feeds into the majority society as well, right? It's like our society is oppressing the Black man, woman, child based on historical acceptances of Black people being non-human, right?
Okay.
So I think that, and because of that, there's a thread of fear, right? Oppression is bred through fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You fear something, so you want to keep dominion over it. You want to have power over it because you fear it and you don't truly understand it. So I think that the LGBTQ movement has been able to make maybe more momentum than we are, because that's a multiracial community.
I agree.
Right?
Absolutely. But it's like Tanya said, like, if we're so powerful, if we come from a great heritage, right? Why aren't we collectively moving further? And I think we're collectively not moving further because we aren't coming together. Individually, like Tanya's referencing, you have so different socioeconomic status and things like that. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I could be worth millions and billions. I'm still a Black woman. And if I speak up too loud, I may be that angry Black woman, right? If I lean in too much, that means I'm aggressive, right? It don't matter how much money I got. That's never going to change. So why can't we come together and say, you know what? I want reparations. I want college free for every Black American child, for every Black kid. They deserve to go to school for free.
I think a part of that, or we can't, in my opinion, and you guys definitely tell me what you think, I don't think we can necessarily look at why we don't work together well, or as Tiff from our Zoom room says, multitask well, is because we have this whole issue of colorism that exists within our culture, right? And so we have bought into the social norms of the majority white culture that the lighter or the whiter you are, therefore you will be afforded more privilege and opportunity. And that was beat into us, right? From the institutional system of slavery. Mm-hmm. So I do agree.
What's so exciting is the millennials that are now, more mixed than ever. And they're saying, they're the ones out there protesting, saying, hey, enough's enough.
Right.
Enough.
But you know what I also heard, and I'm interested to know what you think about this, is that this time someone said, okay, you know what, Lori, Rodney King, that was 30 years ago, or almost 30 years ago, and it was a video where someone was being brutally attacked. And here we are still looking at a video where someone was brutally attacked, but unfortunately that ended in death, right? And their perspective was that America, and I agree with this, America is no longer just white or Black. There's this exploding population of mixed race people, right?
Right.
And so now you may have that white father who has a mixed race child whose physicality looks Black, and that father's saying, no, not mine. So they join that movement.
Like, is it Serena's husband? Like when he stepped down, when Serena's husband stepped down from
I didn't hear about that.
CEO, give his seat to a Black CEO, a person that was of color, to be CEO. He stepped down. He actually, they asked him why. He said no. He said, it's important to my daughter and my wife. And when I have to explain this later, what did I do? Not give somebody a seat at the table, but I gave up my seat at the table. that was his way of saying. And the other thing is like, you know, when I braid my daughter's hair is beautiful to me. You know, that was his whole thing. And I think because we have more of a people, there are more people who understand it because we're not as segregated. Because 30 years from now, it's going to be the minority of pure white. You know this. So people are now stepping up because their children are now going to come up and be in this type of atmosphere. And pretty soon, no one's going to be 100%. So again, we already know that gene is a recessive gene. That Caucasian gene is a recessive gene. Once you mix it, it's no longer pure. So what is
I'm sorry.
Hey, do we have Facebook muted, guys? Does anybody have Facebook up?
I don't have any Facebook.
No? I'm getting terrible feedback. I'm trying to figure out where it's from.
Me too. I don't know where.
Hey, Snow Brown, Eric. Guys, we've got some amazing people joining us, ladies and gentlemen, from our Facebook family. I'd like to just do a check-in to everyone. We have got LaTanya Russell in the house. We've got Snow Brown in the house. How are you doing, fam? We've got Eric Moore watching us tonight, everybody. We've also got our cousin LaTanya Russell in the house with us tonight. We've got Monique May, Daryl Kemp, how you doing? Ricky, the Queen, Jean, and of course, Mr. Homer Turner. We've also got joining us tonight, Mr. Tweed Cadillac, and we've also got Rollo D in the house. So, guys, we're doing it tonight here in the Poetry of Justice show. We've got the ladies of the chat in the house. We've got Mr. Chico Brown on the panel. We've got the beautiful Joy Simmons with us tonight, and of course, the amazing Miss Kristen Fisher. And so we have a fabulous show. Just wanted to check in with Facebook, let you guys know. Thank you for hanging in with us. We've had some technical difficulties going on in Facebook world, but the devil's a lie because we ain't gonna let them outshine us. Ain't that right, Miss Chris Fisher? And I want to give a very special in honors because I wanted to leave, as my mama used to say sometimes, best for last. But we always get a chance to honor her husband, Mr. Jerome Rucker. And so I had Miss Lori Rucker with us tonight, but I just wanted to tell you, Lori, tonight that it's an honor to have you, and I want to introduce you to our Facebook family. Of course, you know, we see your husband on the front line. I know you're looking at me like that, but I just want to give you that love and respect because I want to tell you something very special here tonight in front of everyone is that I don't know if you recall about last year ago when we had Mr. Rucker on the house doing the Brotherhood, and you were about to explode and pop with that beautiful baby Grace in your tummy, Miss Glory. She's Grace because she is Grace. And so what I wanted to say is that thank you for coming out that night and being there with me and Lori and your husband and always being a supporter. So it's an honor to be able to have you with us now because you got the baby and now she's up and doing her thing, and then of course the princess there. So thank you, Lori, for joining us tonight. And I want to introduce you to our Facebook family.
Hello, thank you. No, thank you for having me. You know, I support anything Black, and I support everything. Let me say, all lives matter, right? But I support Black women. I want to see us succeed so much. So it was just an honor to drive down there and then hang out with you all. And the lovely Lori Fisher. You know, it's been a blessing to be able to just know her and know you and your daughter and everything. So I'm excited to be here. I wanted to just piggyback on something. Could I? Is it okay?
Of course, please do.
So what Shelly was talking about, Serena's husband, which was so interesting about that, the man that they appointed to the board was actually one of the founders. So this is a Black brother who was overly highly qualified, right? One of the founders of the products that her husband actually, he created it. He was one of the co-founders of it.
But he got a CEO seat. Yeah, he was one of the founders.
Yeah, but you think, why wasn't he a member a long time ago, right? Because he was more than qualified.
The board is higher than the CEO.
Right. So, no, that's what I'm saying. Why wasn't he a member of the board a long time ago?
No. He was a member of the board, and he gave him the head of the company as well. So the board is higher than the CEO. So he gave him his seat as CEO. He was actually under the board.
Right. Okay, so when I was reading it, I understood he wasn't on the board yet.
No.
He left the seat and then gave it to this Black man.
Correct.
Right. So, but I'm wondering, why wasn't he on the board? Why didn't they ever include him on the board before this? Right.
Right. I understand. I guess there was a few Black seats on the board, but there was nobody running the company. He actually wanted someone Black to run.
Oh yeah, to be on yeah. So I'm just wondering, because I only speak because when I was doing some research on school districts and I was looking at board members and who are on the board, who are sitting on the board, that's why I say it kind of starts at your local level. We don't have a lot of African Americans on boards that are sitting on the boards, and yet our school.
Not unless it is a Black-run organization. If it's a Black-run organization, right, we'll have more on board. But from what I understand, he already had some Black people on the board. He wanted a Black person to run the actual company. Be the CEO.
Yeah.
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 Well, you know, you can clearly tell that the turn of events has brought some distinction in the way people are thinking, right? And making them look at their own selves, and not sure if that would have actually happened before, if the current events were kind of so, right? So at least you're having that dialogue, and I know for me at my job, it was kind of weird for me because they're really into inclusion and diversity, more so than I actually thought they were. And we were having conversations, and even some of the Black physicians were saying how they, they were asking, how do you feel at this moment? What's going on? What can we do differently? And all this conversation is starting up that probably wouldn't have happened before at the level that is occurring now, right? So you have physicians saying, hey, I'm Black, I get pulled, I had a gun to my head as a doctor. And then you have another physician say, we were socially, we signed a contract for social injustice just because of the color of our skin when we were born. So, people feeling more free to open up and have conversations too. And I think all of this, the activities that's going now, is which causing those little things to shift. Now, how do we keep the momentum is the question, right? How do you keep the momentum? Because for some reason we have like this settling spirit. We don't always ask for it all. We just want something, right? But we should be asking for it all. And so what do we do to do that? And I'm just afraid as a race, honestly, that collectively, I don't know if we'll get there. Because I still think that people have their own separate agendas. There's a population in the midst of, there's a sample in the midst of the African-American population that don't believe they're African-American. And they're sitting up in some positions that really could make a difference, right? They have connections that could really make a difference. And Dante makes me sick. Dante, I'm trying to be serious, but he said we don't need those people.
Dante said we don't need them.
Yeah, he said we don't need them, but the truth is that you have some African Americans that voices are in areas that we'll never reach. And what are they doing to reach back and pull us up and reach back and make sure that we have a car? They think that they've made it, so they don't need to help nobody else. And so that's the truth of what happens in the Black society. And so what do we do with that? Dante, please.
Dante told you what you have to do with that, Tanya. I agree. Lori said, Ben Carson came up in Omarosa. That's what Dante says. We need to get rid of them in us. Yeah, Ben Carson, Omarosa they not coming to the cookout when the revolution begins. Dante said they not. Joi, you agree they not coming to the cookout when the revolution begins?
No, ma'am. But hey, Colin Powell's coming, and that's what we kind of need for the Republicans. They respect him a whole lot. And when Colin Powell spoke up, that helped. But yeah, we need to keep the momentum, and it's going to take Chris, the Million Woman March, and bring them with us, right? We're going to bring our hands with us in order to accomplish something. because we have to keep the momentum. We have to get people out of the big white building out there. We have to get people out of our local offices.
Right.
Yeah, we have to get people out to vote, guys.
That's important.
That has got to be
our part. I think that's our part. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna be marching and I'm not going to jail. You ain't gonna be throwing no bombs and stuff at me. Now I will vote, but I think it's our young people that need to go out there because I'm too old for that.
Okay, now I'm gonna say something controversial since Jackie always does too. I don't think we need a Black woman as a vice president. We need white women to vote. We need a white woman or somebody neutral that the white folks will come and vote for. Yeah, I said it.
You did say it. You said it out loud.
I said it. We already got the Black vote. Black folks are gonna go with Joe. They're gonna go with Joe. So we need.
Okay, Dante is going insane in the chat. Hold on, let me see. He says.
You gotta speak up, Dante.
Dante, he's going insane. He says, I think we just leave them out. I think this is Ben Carson and Omarosa. There's enough of us. We're going to have people a part of the movement that we have people part of the movement that are against us, trying to take us out. However, they won't, because this moment is a lot bigger than just us as Black people. The whole world really coming behind us now. Then all in caps, he says, we don't. Black person in office don't mean nothing. Obama. So he agrees with you, Lori.
So because let me say, look, the movement is happening with not only Black folks, but white folks came out too, right? Black Lives Matters now became integrated. And when it became integrated, heat started to happen, right? Policies started to talk about change. They started talking about change and reform. They started talking about defund the police, right?
Right.
Do you remember Occupy? New York?
Yes.
Remember, what was it called? It was Occupy something. I'll think
Occupy
of it.
Wall Street, Dante
Wall
says.
Street, right? And you know who was behind that, right? And it wasn't until people brought light to it when you started saying, oh, wait a second, hold on, there are crooked people there are crooked people here. And so Obama did the best that he could with his hands tied behind his back, right? Mitch McConnell got to go. When you talk about local, when you talk about your state, you got to start taking people off. And he's one that's got to go because he had Obama's hands tied.
Definitely.
And then you loosen somebody's hands and look at what we got going on.
Right.
Modern day KKK, right?
Because that's what that rally is in Oklahoma, KKK rally.
So I'm saying, Joe, millennials, come on, I'm gonna need y'all to go with Joe, right? But we're gonna have to get some of these college educated, the same way Obama won, college educated white women voted for him. And unless Michelle Obama runs, and we know she ain't, but I wish she would take one for the team.
Dante says Joe is a pedophile.
Did you see that?
I wish.
I saw that. That was funny.
Pick one, a pedophile or a rapist. Which one you want? I'll take the pedophile.
At least he didn't pay for the one. Come on, this man, how are we going to judge one? Why are we going to judge one hug from somebody paying off $250,000 because I slept with you? That's totally different, right?
Okay, I just want to say that we have to rally behind Joe.
We do.
We have to. We have no choice.
Talk to the millennials.
And so that's when you say, Joylyn, you're very quiet. You need to speak up, my dear. Speak up.
You got. Hey, I'll take Elizabeth Warren, even though she don't know who she is. She might be half Indian, quarter Indian. I'll take her if the millennials come. I'll take her.
Joylyn, are the millennials coming?
I don't know. When Joe made that comment about Black people, I don't know.
The millennials are having a hard time with that. I'm just saying, we all make mistakes when we say something. I'm just saying, I'll take the pedophile. I love the little kids. I'll take the pedophile over the
But take his history. He's always voted for civil rights. He's always voted for equality. Joe has done something, but I'd rather you vote for us and protect us. Say a couple of things. You could slip. I agree. But to blatantly stab us daily in the back, in the front,
and separate us.
But wait a minute, you guys, hold on. Isn't Joe the reason why we have the 1994 crime bill and most of our Black men are in jail?
Yes, we do.
So
Yes.
and let me just say this.
Yes.
So,
Yes, he did.
This is a problem that I have. I think I'm a Democratic and then I'm a Republican. I don't know which one I am, right? Because Republics have some things. They believe in Christianity. They believe in same-sex marriage. They believe in certain things. It's the Democratic population that ushered this LTBG in under Obama and all this type of stuff, right? That started showing that there was a discrimination between social races and all this type of stuff. So I get mixed in between that. And I'm not saying that I would vote for Donald Trump again, but at least he's
again.
Huh?
Again.
I mean, for him to come in again.
Oh,
for him to come in.
Okay, clear that up.
Like, what?
No, for him to come in.
Just want to be clear.
No, for him to win again, I wouldn't do that. But I get mixed signals in between who to vote for. And I think if we were all sit here and be honest, you like, oh, vote for Joe Biden. Yeah, because he's the one and this, that, and the other. But Joe is the reason why we had war on drugs in the 1994 crime bill and the Street 3 strike law. He did all that shit to our Black men.
Okay, but Tanya, guys, we got to take a moment to say, though all those things are true, right? But we have no other options.
Right.
And like my most favorite president, President Obama, not voting is a vote for Trump. And that's the message we have to push across, no matter what Joe is or is not.
Right. No matter who you vote, you vote blue, because Republicans do.
I do.
No matter who you vote blue, because Republicans, they did not want Trump, but guess what? No matter what, they voted for him.
Okay, Dante is about to die, guys.
We need a shirt that says, no matter who, we are voting blue.
Okay, blue, but blue ain't always been good to us either.
No, I agree, but this red will be death to us if he has 4 more years, and now nobody can take him out, right? He has 4 more years to act a stone cold, and I'm gonna say it, I hate it, fool, stone cold fool.
Right, but I'm gonna tell you this:
no regard for life, no regard for. Did you hear the general? He said, if other countries are looking at us, we are considered under distress. He said, if you're looking at a terrorist, if you're looking at a weak country, because we have 5 things that are happening right now: divisiveness, an untrustworthy president. Because of all of these things are happening, we are weak as America. So I'm saying, millennials, no matter who,
Joylyn,
vote blue. Joylyn, no matter who.
I got to read what Dante says.
Dante, no, and no. Get out of here with that, Dante. When's the last time somebody been in office and we had 4 young men, Black men, hung? Come on now. Come on.
Dante says Joe ain't going to do anything for us.
No.
He pushed the war on drugs. He won't do anything for us. None of them are for us. He's a part of it. We should not bow to the lesser 2 evils, challenge the system, go against the grain.
Dante, are you at the Trump rally? Really?
I'm jumping up in the room.
Dante,
you know what?
Really?
I think what Lori was saying is right.
No president has helped us in history, right? These tax laws are written for the rich and the wealthy. So if you got money, this is benefiting you all day long, right? I just had a conversation with one of my sorority sisters, and I said, you got to realize that 10% of the wealthiest 10% of America own 86% of the stocks. 86%. Do the math, right? So what president helped you? Are you the top 10 wealthiest people in the right? No. But we can't commit suicide and let this guy who has no regard for history, human life, right? And then let's trump it off like this. And then Republicans ain't gonna let him do half of what this man is doing. So we're gonna be safe in some regard.
And I do think, you're right. We do go blue. I'm not happy either way. But what I can say is that if Donald Trump gets back in, we better watch out, because that's saying a lot about America.
Ain't it?
All this that we've been through.
Hello, the message.
We ought to be pretty scared. We should start being frightened.
Hello.
About living in Canada and some shit, because
we already frightened. I don't know about you, but if I didn't have God, if I didn't have God in my life,
exactly. Right.
Come on.
Right.
This man is crazy.
Well, this is where, if I'm not a Biden fan myself, but if going that route, we have to spark change. Even if he come into office, we have to make sure we make him do what we want him to do. Not he get in office and then he runs stuff. No, we running it.
And so you put him in office, you've got to get some Elizabeth Warren or somebody, but then you ask for Stacey Abrams to be secretary or something. You ask for Kamala Harris to be something. You start surrounding your cabinet with Black folks. So when I'm writing to Joe, I'm saying, listen, I'm voting for you, but you better surround yourself with some sisters and some brothers, because that's the only protection that you're going to have when you get in there, because we're going to be upset if he doesn't stop half of this.
Right. Hey guys, we have a caller. We have a caller, guys. Go ahead, Rod.
I can't hear anybody.
Can you hear him?
I cannot. Can you hear? I don't hear a caller.
Okay. I'm sorry, Rod. Can you guys hear Rod?
I cannot hear Rod. Hey, Roddy Rod, we can't hear you. I hear a little bit now, remnant. Okay, Lord, we gotta move on.
All right. I'm so sorry, babe. Something is going on with the computer. I can't. Yeah. Okay. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Lori, I have Pamela Hunter from our Facebook feed, and she says that you have to remember a racist could never be number two to a Black man. That's just part of the issue. So Biden worked for Obama for 8 years. So maybe that would be something a little bit better for us. And she mentions that Clinton was the one that put action into office. People want to love Clinton, but he is the reason all of that actually even happened. So I just wanted to share that to the panel. What do you all think about that?
Well, I guess it is beneficial to have a Black man in your ear.
Vote blue.
And if you don't know who, vote blue. That's the Lord.
Unless Colin Powell comes out and says, I'm going to take the death threats and run as a Republican, then we're going to have to go with blue.
Blue. You know what? Also, our room is blowing up here. I've got to tell you, Tiff says, what does Dante propose we do? Honestly. And then Mercedes says Dante is gonna get us all killed. And then Dante says the only alternative is to burn down word to Huey Newton. We should not be frightened. This is literally our reality. None of them will change anything for us. And then Shelly C says, well, I want Trump out of my reality. And Dante chants Kamala, 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 Kamala. And so I think now we're chatting with ourselves, not just the people in the room, right? Oh, Tiff, she has another comment. People do not understand how our government works. They don't understand how our branches of government work or how we need to show up for more federal elections every 2 years and our presidential elections. Right?
I agree.
Yeah. I think now that we have Zoom, because a lot of people don't know nothing. Like I don't know nothing. I live in Long Beach. I don't too much know nothing except for when it's time for election, I get all these flyers in the mail, and then I start to look and see, oh, well, let me look up this person and see what they're about. It seems like the Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So if I don't know nothing, I'm not going to do nothing because I don't know, you know. So the educated part, as far as, you know, what Tip was saying about trying to understand the government, that's something that, you know, those who do know need to put it together and talk to those of us who don't know, because there's a lot. I don't know too much about, you know, a lot of government stuff besides, you know, when something happens and then I start researching and, you know, doing all that. But, or from what I hear, then I go look it up. But there's a lot of people out there who really don't know nothing about the government, so they're not going to get out there and vote. Or if they do vote, they're just going by what somebody else said, you know, instead of really digging deep into it to really see what's what.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I was ignorant to that too. My father, rest in peace, used to sit around the table and tell us who to vote. So he'd do all the research, and he would tell us what judge to vote for. I mean, down DA, everything. He would tell us who was, you know, not for us in the skin color way, and then it wasn't until he passed and I had to vote my first time by myself. I had to do all of the heavy lifting, and I thought to myself, you know, this is a lot. You know, this is a lot. And so what we started in our family since Zoom and COVID-19, we started talking about how we're going to Zoom in and talk about all of the props, all of the bills that are trying to be passed, because it is, like Chris is saying, it's a lot to digest. And now, even with all of this situation, I'm starting to look deeper on asking, I'm asking, you know, what are the, if we're looking at these district attorneys who are, you know, running for offices, I want to know what they were fighting for. What are some of their convictions? Like, what were they known for convicting for? Because if they were convicted on Black and Brown, right, and that was their claim to fame, then I don't necessarily know if I want them in my office. So we definitely got to educate. You know, I say I go to happy hour with my friends. Why can't we talk about it then? You know, over a drink or something.
I agree with that.
I agree with you, Lori. Wow, such spirited debate and conversation. So excited. So much going on. Miss Michelle Ballard says, Lori, maybe we need to do what your father did for our community in a much larger magnitude. They send us literature for our party, for our professions. Why not for our community? Very good point. And then Tiff said, Tiff said, Dante, are you going to run for office?
You know what, but I do think they, like the Democrats will send you some information, right? They will say, vote on this bill and vote on that. But how do we know that that's, I think what Lori's talking about is that deep research on it and not just going by what you're told. And all that takes time and knowledge. And, you know, you really want somebody competent at the table who can really do the research. Like Lori, it seemed like that's just was something that was like in your dad just did. That he loved doing it. He loved the research. He kept up with the historical justice space all his life, right? This is what I'm getting from your dad. So somebody who's lived in that justice space for a long time, as far as observing what's going on and having history to bring with it, you know, that's who you want to listen to. I don't know if I'm the one to lead that journey for us, right? Because you want to make sure that you're always giving the correct information. Now, if we were to have something like this and we were to share information and share point of views, and then, you know, by the time I got off the phone, I was, you know, convinced that what we were saying was the current knowledge and we were coming from a competent standpoint, then I could share. But right now, you know, that's just never been my strong suit, because we have two ways to vote, right? There's a way that we participate in, and then there's a participatory voting through the electoral votes, right? And so you still have to, even though you do your vote, that state still has to win, right? And so how do you make sure that all that comes in alignment? And I think that's always been, when you hear of the African Americans or the Black and Browns that don't vote, they always feel like, oh, my vote doesn't make a difference, because the electoral vote is the one that's going to really make the difference at the end of the day. So we got to make sure that our electoral vote, right, that we come against, and our state vote is exactly what we want to represent. And how do we do that?
And that electoral vote comes from the census. So we need to make sure, Dante, all of us are counted, because the counting of that creates our electoral college, it creates the numbers for us, right? And so my dad was a high school graduate, that was it. But he took the newspaper and he would call it the internet. He was about as bad as Bush when he said it too. I was like, Dad, there's only one, it's the internet.
Yes,
but
literally.
He would literally use all of his information in order to do it. So I think we are more than capable of doing it. It's like, do we have the time? Do we want to invest into that?
But Lori, I think what you said was important. It's a lot of people that don't participate in the census votes, right? And so we're thinking, push the ballot, push the ballot, push the ballot. We have a step before the ballot. We got to do the census and then push the ballot. And there's a lot of people that are not participating in the census.
And we got to get the census, because that becomes medical health care funding, right? That becomes the health care funding. That gives us the electoral college that does so much for us. It talks, and really, if you want to get dirty about it, it does the prison population. Like you're looking at this census, and it's going to dictate a whole lot of stuff. So we got to count. So you got to make sure. I say 10 down. Let 10 people know about the census, and tell them to get 10 other people, 10 other people, 10 other people. And it doesn't matter if you're a legal immigrant or not. It doesn't matter if you're a convicted felon. It doesn't matter. You have to fill out the census.
Lori, what do you say about those that said, I don't want to be counted? You know what I mean? That, the census is not for me. That's just for keeping us down in the hood. What do you feel about that? Because a lot of people feel that way, Lori.
They're keeping us down. Okay, so the neck, right? I haven't watched it. I won't watch it. America has their knee on our necks, literally and figuratively, right? And so the best way that they keep us down is to make sure that we don't participate in anything. If we want change to happen, we're going to have to work. And that work is doing the census. That work is voting locally, federally. We have to do the work. So he's going to keep us down if we don't do the work. And the work is this. We got to play the game. I taught kids, but special ed kids that are emotionally disturbed, or I call them bad, right? They were just bad. They didn't know how to play the game. They know how to play the game of education. And so even when I was working in Compton, and I'm telling kids, like, play the system, right? Play the system. The system is designed for you to fail, but if you play the game like they want you to, hi, ma'am, how you doing? Absolutely, I need that A. I'm gonna talk to you. I may not be able to do all the work, but I'm looking at my effort, and she's gonna give you your B. She's gonna give you your C. You're gonna play the game. The census is the same thing. I need my money. I need my assistance. I need my health care. I need my prescriptions to be paid for. Play the game. Fill the census out. I need to hold people accountable. Vote. Right? I need to make sure the teacher's no longer kicking my kid out of the classroom. Show up to school. Keep showing up. Work. We're gonna have to work. We're gonna have to work and work and work. Our ancestors worked hard to get to this part, right? Women's rights. We weren't even able to vote. Like, could you imagine? Like, we wouldn't even be able to have conversations like this if folks didn't put in the work. So I say to my brothers and sisters in the hood, absolutely. Be upset, be pissed off, but do the work. We gotta vote, we gotta do the census, and we gotta show up. We gotta show up. Our presence alone makes people nervous. That's why they had to throw tear gas at us. Our presence alone. We ain't got to say nothing. Just show up.
Exactly.
Show up. Put in the work.
Tiff from our Zoom room, Tiff says, divide and conquer. It is way too much for one person to do. It would be great to have individuals to do the research and bring back the information. I think that's about the research about the candidates. And then she said, that's ignorance. They have to be educated by people they trust. And then Mercedes says, our ancestors had stamina. And that's very true. Our ancestors did have stamina.
So we not using that?
They had stamina, but guess what? They had stamina because they don't eat what we eat. They didn't eat what they didn't everything that we consume in our bodies, through our eyes, our ears, through our gut, it all affects your brain. So what our ancestors, when they worked in the field, they got that sun, they kept active, so they had kind of burn off that energy in the foods that they ate. Even if I don't know if they ate a lot of hog maws and chitlins and all that stuff, but they grew their own food, so it ain't full of pesticides and all that stuff. All that stuff that we consume in our body affects our mind. So people out there that don't know or don't want to know or don't care, they're not thinking. When you know who you are in Christ, your whole mindset starts to change. Like
Chris, talking to your mic.
You start to change your mindset about who you are, everything starts to change in your world. There's a mini world because each individual person have their own world. So there's a lot of worlds. So as you start, but we're all one. But as far as educating people, if we all found one person that was running for office and brought that person to a Zoom and said, hey, this person here, then somebody can say, well, I'm going to see what I can find on that person. I'm going to see what I can see what they did. And when we come back together again, we all did some type of research on somebody who is running for office that, where we can say, okay, well, let's see what you have on this person. What do you have on this person? How can it benefit us? We have to, from this point, come together and try to do something regardless of who is going to be president. We have to do something for change, as change is starting now. It's like the beginning of the end to the beginning.
Beginning of the end to the beginning.
Beginning of the end to the beginning.
Well, we have to do something, everybody. We got to make some changes. I mean, not just talk about them, like you say, action. It's just time for the revolution, because these people not playing. And so I think what we have to realize is we're not playing. We can't play. I don't know at what point do we really begin to show our force in terms of the personal level, bearing arms and getting out there, kind of getting back on some things that, I know, because at this point we dying anyway, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they're killing us. So when do we shoot back? Like for real shoot back. And I don't know if that's being too militant or too non-righteous, but I would like to know what some of you all think about that. At what point do we start getting it in? Or do we?
We do. If God be before us, then who could be against us? So just with us talking about it right now, it's already in the process.
It's
already happening.
Amen.
Just with us talking about it right now.
I'd like to hear from a millennial.
Millennials? Joi Lynn?
Ma'am.
What is your thought, Joi Lynn?
I'm going to jump through this. What do you call this? This Zoom. Ain't nobody a ma'am.
That's how I was raised.
I'm 19 years old, girl. I'm 19.
You hear Lori Rucker?
A lot of this stuff for me is just so very overwhelming, just to be at a part where we're learning from our elders and actually just looking at the younger generation after us. So I feel like as us, we kind of like stand in the middle to make the mark for the younger generation and for them all the way down, because I feel like some of the elders are banking on us to make this pivot decision and to draw the fine line moving forward. And so I feel like with us learning a lot of things, with us trying to go into the communities, and sometimes if we have these conversations with our friends, either one, they're not interested, either two, they're I don't want to say ignorant in a bad way, but they don't, know as much. So the conversations are hard to have, and then sometimes some person may feel like, the conversation could be a little bit more superior than their knowledge. And then three, it's like, how do we make decisions ourselves when one person will say one thing, but let's say they get into office or get into a position and it's completely different. So I feel like in my sense and in some of my friends, we're very like overwhelmed on what to do at this moment. So yes, you have some of my friends out there protesting, some of my friends who are out there, you know, just fighting for completely Black Lives Matter, and some just completely fighting for, you know, just peace, you know, and equal opportunity. So I feel like with me and some others, it's like a very overwhelming situation that we're all trying to sit here and say, okay, so what move do we make? Because the next move is going to be so critical for the next 40, 50 years.
It's a heavy plate, heavy plate on everybody. I don't know.
So how can we make it for the millennials?
Could you repeat that, Lori?
How can we make it simpler?
More simple. Okay, hold on.
For the millennials, like how can we take some of this? So I think my ancestors had the stamina, right? They did, and I think over the years, as I've gone through my professional career, I've increased my stamina, right? So hoping that maybe my kids, the ZX or whatever they're gonna be, generation, can have the stamina from where I left off, right? So I wonder how we can help the millennials feel a little bit more comfortable, feel a little bit more, I don't know. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I want you to feel frustrated and upset, you know, because that's going to keep the stamina. That's going to keep you moving. But how do we help you and your friends not be so overwhelmed? What do you think we could do for you?
I don't know, because we're still looking at our elders in some ways to help us as well. I don't know if you've seen a video about this young Black man and older Black men. They were arguing at the protest. And one Black man was like, yes, we need to just shoot them now, kill them now. And the younger man was like, but we've been doing that for 40 years and it got us where? You know, where to this day now, as us, we have to tell this 16-year-old, it ain't working for us either. So I'm banking on you to do the same thing. So it's kind of hard, you know, to find out how to portion control our meals, you know, how to understand which of the plate. We know that we need to have more, let's talk food, protein, we need more stamina, right? Protein give us stamina for this, but sometimes really more carbs will make us very comfortable and sit there and be lazy and sit there and not lazy and take it back, sit there and be just comfortable where we're at because we don't know which way to make the move. But then yet we want to educate the younger generation, say, look, here's Juneteenth. Here's what really happened. Let not just these movies tell you a little glimpse of what happened to our ancestors, but actually look more on the society aspect, as we're still in a systematic system to this day. It just looks a little different. They're wearing different uniforms. But the objective is still the same since day one. So we have our elders that's helping us, but then with us, we have ourselves. It's just like what we're doing now still isn't working. So I don't know if you guys seen that clip on Facebook where that the guy, he was I think he's about my age, but what he was thinking wasn't working. So he was telling this 16-year-old, you got to find something different. You got to find a different way, because we want to say, a lot of people are saying no justice, no peace. And I understand that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I want to say, give me some justice, we got the peace, you know, or give me peace, give us something different. So therefore we're able to breathe. I can't really change the white supremacy mindset about us, but can I give something in place that I can make sure that my ancestors in heaven was like, thank God. Our elders are saying, okay, you did a little something. We're saying, okay, we made the right move, but we're making sure the move we make is okay for their generation to come.
Wow. Jackie, you have to unmute yourself, honey. You're muted.
I'm sorry, Sissy. I just wanted to go to Facebook really quick and let you know that Marcelino's in the house tonight. Marcelino Martinez. And he just wanted to reiterate in terms of from us culturally that we've been stripped, that our heritage has been stripped from us, our names, our language, our religion, and our culture. But then I also just wanted to chime in for Mr. Jerome Rucker tonight. And Jerome is saying to us, great show. Thank you, Jerome. But he says, question is our generation as a whole weaker and less determined than the Black folks that went before us? So I'm going to repeat that. Question is, our generation as a whole weaker and less determined than the Black folks that went before us? Essentially, are we lazy? What's going on here? What do you all think about that, Mr. Jerome?
I don't think so. I think what Lynn is talking, because millennials have done a really good job of changing where they spend their dollar, right? And the millennials are very conscious of whether it's impacting the earth, and our ozone, and working for our kids. Because right now, if we allow this man to come back in, he's already overturned so many environmental laws and regulations that who knows if our kids are going to be able to breathe, literally, from the pollution and things like that. So I know my generation, sometimes we can get a little bit lazy. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think the millennials are any less. I think they don't know where to go, right? So I think we could look at our ancestors, and some of us could look at our parents and say, okay, they understood some of the politics, right? They understood some of the issues, and they understood and they were just trying to get a step ahead, and so that their kids could get a step ahead. And I think now we're looking at this where it's like it's so much. We're inundated from the left and the right? And so it's like, where do we start? How do we go? How do we get the momentum? It goes back to what Tanya's saying. Why can't we come together collectively and move somewhere, right? We're still relying on Al Sharpton. Really? Like, who's our new? You're like come on now. Like, we're still relying on this man.
Right, but you know what? I think there's a platform that has been established that wasn't there for us, and I think the social communication and the technology platform has, really increased awareness, right? So when I was growing up at my age, you heard of things going on, but you never could really see it. You heard the stories that were before you, but you never really experienced it. I think what's happening now with technology, every race,
Lost audio.
Yeah, she froze.
Lord, we lost audio on Tanya.
She's coming back.
Okay, all right. It's a wild one though. Lori, I'm sorry, Lori, I can't. Lost audio on Lori too. Maybe it's my phone tripping her. Joy Lynn, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, Chris Fisher. I can't hear Chris. I hear Joy. Can't hear Lori Ray. Lori Rucker.
Can you hear me? I had on my mute.
I hear nobody. Lori tripping.
Can you hear me? Can everybody hear?
I'm here.
Okay. So Tiff in our Zoom room, she says millennials will need to educate themselves regarding the torch that is being passed. It's not all on your shoulder, but best believe your actions are creating a butterfly effect. You will not see immediate change. It's a marathon, not a sprint. What do you all think about that? That's true. It is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
I think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I wonder though, sometimes when you have the first generation, so you have the first generation of people who were out of slavery, who became sharecroppers, right? And there's this huge desire to move, to be free, to have victories. And then you have their children or their generation, right? Where there's still that immobilization because now we're in the civil rights movement, Jim Crow, all of those things, right? But could it possibly be as each generation moves further and further away, that connection to what you have been deprived of, or what you were fighting for, your ancestors were fighting for, isn't as connected to you. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, I don't know.
It makes sense because we weren't back in that time. That's like saying, like, use the Bible, for example. You know, when you go to church or even when you listen to preachers talk, they always talk about the law, you know, back in, you know, the Old Testament days, when in reality, the New Testament is just the shadow of the old. So if you believe, if Jesus Christ died, who was the light and put the light in us, that's who we are, the light.
Talk closer to your mic, Chris.
Wait a second. So I agree. I mean, I understand what that's saying, because it's like I was saying, if you were looking at the Bible and we weren't back in that time, but you got pastors that always talk about back in the Moses days and all them kind of days. A lot of stuff I learned now that I'm under grace, and the more that I commune with the light in me, God, the light, Jesus in me, my whole world starts to change, because now I know who I am in Christ, where he says, you have the power. Like she said, life is in the power of the tongue. So what's going on in the world has to do with somebody saying something, because it's all about the words which you're speaking. So if we come together and speak about what's going on now today, not saying we forgot about what our ancestors went through, we only can go by who is the bloodline of those who were back then during that time. Because when I talked to my mom about when my grandparents, when they picked cotton and did all that stuff, they might have picked cotton, but they had money. They had their own stuff. So, you know, they might say, well, Mama, what about your grandmama? You know, did you know her, or did you? And it's, no, you know, it's kind of like some secrecy going on, where I can't even comment on the past. I got to go by, what am I doing now, considering what has happened to me as being a Black woman, what I have faced as far as discrimination, you know. So I really can't go by. I mean, I understand what they're saying about, are we just further getting away from that? You know, not that we're getting away from it, it's always there, but what's happening now? What are we doing now? Because that's a whole total different, it's so different back then, you know. So you can't even look at you can look at what they went through, but how do you apply how it looks now? I always said I was going to write this song or this book called, What Does That Look Like? Because it's like, what does that look like now? Me sitting here now, what does that look like? You know.
Well, Tweet Cadillac from our Facebook stream states that it seems as if they don't and never will respect us. We must be self-sufficient on all fronts. The projects could be a great gated community if we as people gave a damn. Use what we got to get what we want collectively as a whole. Thoughts?
I think that there is a little bit of we've digressed sometimes when we're removed from the slavery, but I think that kind of like what Chris was saying is the women haven't really digressed. You know, we as African American women, we're still pushing forward, starting our own businesses, going to college, graduating, you know, becoming lawyers, doctors, hair salon owners, you know, all kinds of just entrepreneurial stuff that we're doing as Black women. And so somehow I think we need to help our Black men and Black boys be held accountable for such, you know, let me rephrase it. I think we need to hold so my daughters, we have an expectation, right? I expect they clean their room. She's only 5. I still expect her to clean her room. I expect her to have certain, I'm kind of putting into her head, she's going to go to high school. She'll go to college. Maybe she'll get a graduate degree or whatever. But the expectation is that whatever she starts out, she better finish it. And I think sometimes we got to do that for our Black boys. We got to not just be happy with them being present, but actually holding them accountable. Like, you got to finish something. And if you need us behind you, you know, we are the most loyal, you know, race, Black women. We are so loyal to our Black men that we would help come hell and high water, move mountains if we need to, in order for them to be the head of the house, in order for them to be the head of everything. And so we got to get back into order where our men are the head, and we're pushing them to do our own entrepreneurships, our own, you know, whatever it is that we want to do in our community, that we're pushing them to do it and expecting that it be done. You know, I think back to a kid that I had at Centennial High School, and you know, he was an entrepreneur, and there was 1,500 students at the school, and he showed up every day because that was the best clientele. And it would have been so powerful if he would have had a Black male that was successful or that was doing something positive say, hey, take those same strategies that you're using to push whatever you're pushing, right? We won't say what he was pushing, but he was a great kid. Take them same strategies and open up something, you know, sell the ice creams on the side of the street like some of these Hispanic cultures do, and they make money, and take that cash and go buy land. You know, could you imagine the impact if a Black man had told him, like, man, this is what you could do with this? You know, I think we gotta put it back on all of us doing it together. And no matter how far removed we are from slavery, we have to know our history and know where we can go. You know, but it's gonna take us together as units to move, and to make change.
We have to be consistent as well, because when you start something, you have to be with anything, you have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, then it's gonna fall apart.
Right.
I like the viewpoint about speaking life, you know what I mean? And sort of, I think, who made the comment about no justice, no peace? Joy Lynn, and stating that we should. Could you give us that slogan again, Joy, on how we perhaps should consider rephrasing?
You know, I don't know. I gotta ask Jesus what he said.
You gotta ask Jesus, take the wheel, Lord. But I like the fact that we need to start changing some of our slogans in terms of speaking victory, speaking life. But I just wanted to share with the panel that I was going to tell you what Monique May is saying to us. But Marcelino Martinez says that if we do develop another Black Wall Street, we will need our own military or some type of defense like that. You know what I'm saying? That was just a piece of commentary. What do you ladies think about Black Wall Street rebuilding? Or is that what do you think about that, Pat?
We're the #1 spenders in America. So could you imagine if we pushed our money to our own?
Right.
I mean, we would have our own Black Wall Street. We would have it because we're not the top owner, but we're the #1 spenders. And so could you imagine if we directed our money elsewhere?
Yeah, but you know what? I go back to what I say at the beginning. I was just talking to my daughter Joy about this when we pass by Starbucks and the line is long, right? And it's like, okay, we have this opportunity. Starbucks has proven to us, whether it's individual or it's the brand, that they have a problem with Black people, but yet we still in line because you like the freaking coffee. It's like, what's up with this? And so this is what I said at the beginning. Until we make small changes like that, and I love me a caramel macchiato, trust.
Yes,
And
you
I
do.
love the spice. I love, their cakes and all that stuff. They're not getting my money. So I might not be able to make a big movement, but that to me, that's my little dollar that you won't have, right?
But
But
Tanya,
as a whole
you
collective group,
have to remember that it's not a corporation. It's actually, some of those are individually owned. There are some Black people that own Starbucks.
Franchising of it.
Franchise, yeah.
Magic Johnson owns one.
Right. It's not just the corporation that gets it. I might buy a Starbucks in the corner. I might own the one in Canada and Beach.
and that's
Or
fine. I need to find that one and give my dollar. But until I know who owns you, you're not getting my money.
right.
Okay?
So
I'm starting. I think this might help Joy Lynn. I have a group of Black girls that we've been able to hang tight with each other for a long time. And since all of this has happened, we started, my sorority says we buy Black 365 days out the year, right? And so I've been conscious of, since a couple of years, really focusing on like, who's the Black dance studio, who's the Black this, who's the Black hair beauty supply place. And so now what we're doing is I'm asking everybody, hey, once you find out this is a Black company, then send it to me, and I'm gonna kind of make the Black directory. And hopefully I'm gonna work with a millennial who's gonna teach me how to do it somewhere on technology, on the internet or something, where maybe it's linked to a Facebook or whatever. But our dollar has to speak volumes. So it can start so small, right, as the coffee. Direct my money to the Black coffee shop down the street, right? The little mom and pop Black mom that's selling coffee. So if we could start small, like we're not going to be able to eat the elephant today, but if we start chomping at his feet, his ankles, and his legs, he's coming down. And so Tanya, you tell me, hey, I'll give you guys all my information. Send it. Once you find a Black spot, then send it, and I'm gonna try and compile all this information. One of my homegirls already did a lot of it, and so now I'm just gonna try and make it nice and pretty, But then you share it with your friends, and then you share it with your friends, and then somehow everybody's gonna be able to add on to it. And then so now we got this Black directory. And if we could just say, instead of spending the trillions that we're spending on folks who don't want us, right? I still remember Oprah Winfrey and Tommy Hilfiger when he said, I didn't make this for y'all. And I said, and Oprah took a turn and said, that day I've never bought a Tommy Hilfiger, never, right? And so why am I gonna buy a Gucci? Why am I gonna buy a Louis Vuitton? You ain't for me.
But
right?
I think we should be careful when we want to eliminate a brand based on the brand. We need to find out who individually owns them.
Right.
The one in Ladera was owned by Magic Johnson for years.
Yes.
So there are individual franchises, just like the European Wax Center. Those are franchises. There are people that are Black owned, but you would not know.
Yes.
So you have to take the time to educate yourself. You can't just assume that a brand itself is just owned by somebody white.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But if we could do the research.
What I said, and what I said is that until I know who owns it, they're not getting my money. So if you know who owns the Black one, let me know. Give it to the directory. And then as a Black community, we got to treat each other better. Because if you want my money, I need some good service. And I think that's the problem that has always happened.
I agree.
Shit is higher. They don't have half the shit you want. Okay, let's be real since we being real, okay?
I was gonna say.
If you want to get a wig, it's half-ass. If you want to get a product, they don't have it this week. So if I'm going to commit to, I'd rather not spend. Like, I wasn't spending any money during Corona because I just had my own stuff that I was relying on because we couldn't go anywhere. So if I'm going to shift my dollars, I need some shift in service too.
And that's the point I want to make. Like, we have definitely friends that have said, okay, let's go to an Inglewood. You have maybe like 3 or 4 that I'm pretty sure of that are Black business beauty supplies. We want to go there. We want to support, but the service sucks. You got no attitude. You got people who knows nothing about the products. And on top of that, their prices are just high. So yes, I'd rather go to the CJ's Hispanic store and give me some eco style that's $3-4 than to go to this beauty supply over on a certain location and pay $6 for the same size. And then you get up to the counter, there's no type of hello, how you doing? It's like, woman, like, my sister, I'm here for you. And I need us to communicate on the same hair products. I need you to, you know, not trying to be mean, but dress a little better, comb your hair, do certain things. I just need you to represent us right, because not only am I coming to support you, everyone else that's coming to Inglewood is finding out about you. And then on top of that, if we buy into certain stores or we try to go somewhere and make something better for ourselves, they're not going to give us the same respect. Let's remember the redlining situation back then. We wanted to go in and buy in different neighborhoods, but yet interest was higher. They didn't want to give us loans. They didn't want to do nothing. So now we get put back in cities that we could definitely afford the living costs, but yet everything around us, we're not comfortable with. So every time we try to better ourselves, either sometimes we as a community don't really help and we just level us back out, or the other counterparts or other races are saying, no, I'm gonna kind of just raise this interest on you a little bit. I'm gonna give you a hard time because maybe I can see you're doing better for yourself, but because you're Black and you might bring in more Black people, I don't know about that. So I think with support, I'm not, no problem with supporting Black businesses at all. But I just want the service to be a little bit more better.
I agree, Joylyn. I agree.
To just be the same as if I go to, you know, the other nail salons where they won't charge me. You know, I've been with my nail lady for about 7 years. I love her to the fullest, but I go to a different Black salon. They want to charge me $120 just on my hands. And the massage is whack. And the lotion is just shea butter. I can go buy shea butter for $3 at the beauty supply. Why am I paying $20 for that? You know, so I understand you want to make money, but come on, let's help each other out at least. You know, I'm big on tipping, but don't make me spend my tip on your service.
So maybe that's where how Lori was saying about when she does her book of all the Black businesses, maybe you should, or when you get in contact with these businesses, you need to bring up that point why we not coming to your business.
Right.
Because your customer service sucks.
They don't care.
We know that you getting it at wholesale, because if the other store over there can get it and they charging you that amount, and if you say, well, you know what, I can't afford to buy that amount of wholesale because I'm just starting out, then you reach out to where we're gonna help you so you can get more product in your store. This is where we put our dollars to back you up. Investors. Black
hey guys, Tiff in the Zoom room has a question to play devil's advocate. She says, I'm going to play devil's advocate on this front. I agree with the service, but in relation to the product, Black businesses don't have access to the same suppliers for inventory, and they don't buy in bulk. They pay more, so to gain any kind of profit, they have to charge more.
Or even in quality of product, because I'll give you a good example. Suave makes a shea butter and African American type shampoo and conditioner where they sell for $6, but when I go to a Black owned company such as Melanin that makes the product, there's no paraffins, there's real herbs in there. You read the back of the label. If you feel like they're charging too much money, read the back of the label compared to the one that you're paying $4 less for.
Yeah, but I also think that service is huge, and we underestimate that. So, you know, you're a business and you have good service, like you have good food, the volume is going to come, and the volume is going to allow your prices to be more negotiable. Everybody starts up high because you don't know. It's supply and demand. The more demand I get, the more supply I can have, and I can leverage things out. So all we're saying is that, and because we buy Miss Jackie and all this other brand and all these Black, when we go focus in on trying to buy the Black products, and even though it's a little bit higher, but we're not buying them from the Black store, right? So we're buying the Black products, but it's not by the Black owner. All I'm saying is that if I'm shifting my dollars, treat me like I'm a customer.
I agree.
treat me
I
good,
agree.
I'm gonna play a
my
little
neighbor,
bit.
my neighbor's gonna tell my neighbor, and
Right.
before you know it, you're gonna have a line out the door, just like they do at Doolin's.
Right.
But maybe, Lori, in your book, you could have a rating system.
Yeah.
So you list the business, you say it's Black, and then there's a rating system. So maybe that provides the motivation for that Black business owner to increase their level of rating based on the service they provide.
I think that
I'm gonna say absolutely. I'm gonna agree with you all about service matters. You know, I mean that's why Starbucks is #1, because they make a point to know your name,
Chick-fil-A,
and to know your, you know your style, so to speak, right? But I think it's pretty disrespectful for non-Black beauty supply places to say no buy, no touch. You know, don't touch something. That's disrespectful. That's not good service either. Even though they have more quality, they have more quantity in the store. You know, the excessive amount of cameras, you know, is disrespectful too, because they're assuming just because I'm a Black person coming in here and getting these supplies, that you automatically think I'm gonna steal this stuff. Or you hide things behind counters because, you know. So if you're going to serve the clientele that's keeping the lights and the roof and everything on, right? I think those non-communicative expressions of disrespect are there too, because they're doing that to us on a daily.
I agree, and I think we should not patronize those places. I
agree.
mean, you could be a Martian, but if you don't treat me with respect and that you want my dollar, I'm not going to patronize you.
Yep, exactly.
Right. So we need to. I think I'm gonna put my nice little millennial on the line, right, and say, have a conversation with the lady next time. Be like, you know what, I'm a millennial and I have friends, and we're well, I'm gonna use some terms that's gonna date me, right? I'm Snapchatting it and IGing it to my friends to come here, but if you're rude, you know, why would I want to come back? Like, can we have that conversation with our people?
Right.
And say, in love, you know, in Christ, I am trying to support you. It's the mission. The Black beauty supply place that I go to in Upland, I literally told the lady, I said, listen, this is an initiative. So I'm letting we have to do it for the organization that I belong into. However, if I don't have certain products, you know, then I'm going to need, and she said, you know what she said? She said, you just let me know the product that you need and I'm going to get it in. And so she literally took a paper out and was like, here, tell me what you need. And I said, okay, here's what I need. And she said, well, give me 2 weeks and I'll have it in there. I said,
that's fantastic.
Thank you.
You know, ladies, we've had a incredible conversation today, and just wonderful ideas and great discussion, which I really want our conversation to continue. That I invite all of our guests from the chat to come back and to join us again, so that we can kind of continue. And do you know, we kind of really only started with one topic, right? And it took us these 2 hours. That's so great. So great. But we've got just a little bit of time left, and Jackie has a big announcement for us. You're muted, Jackie.
Never mute me, so I don't know. I guess it just mutes me automatically. So anyway, what we wanted to share tonight is there is going to be some new developments with the Poetry of Justice show. We're going to be expanding, and we are now in collaboration with the fabulous G. Lou. So, ladies and gentlemen, starting Tuesday, June 23rd, we're going to be having Tuesday nights live with G. Lou and JackieRay live stream each and every Tuesday via YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. So you want to definitely tune in. This is on the G. Lou channel, okay? GLEW G-Lou LEW. But anyway, it's the G. Lou channel. Subscribe to it if you haven't already done so. This is going to be an epic experience. Lori G is on the executive production staff, and we're looking for an amazing time. So thank you so much, everybody, for supporting that and being ready for it again. This is G. Lou, JackieRay, Tuesday Night Live, June 23rd. I want all of you there. I love you. Lori G?
Hey, so I want to give you a little preview of the show, guys. I hope I can do this. Here we go.
All right. I don't have the audio, Lori. We're just doing a video, guys. Thank you so much for listening, everybody in Facebook land. Lori's playing the video now. We have an amazing piece that marketing and advertising. So we're going to get everything ready Tuesday night. I thank you guys for joining us here on the Poetry of Justice Show with JackieRay Phillips, yikesradio.com, acceleratedradio.net, Facebook. I love you. We also have the Poetry of Justice Show YouTube channel. We are at the POJ Show with JackieRay Phillips on YouTube. You want to subscribe to us. The channel is growing and growing, and you can also catch this data here. Lori and I go and we post it and download it over there. But again, this is about Tuesday nights. Never going to be the same. G. Lou, JackieRay, same place, same time. It's going down. So I definitely want to make sure that you guys are all tuning in with us. And then next week, we're going to have an exciting show. I'm going to have Lori G's back. Okay, guys. Lori G's back.
It's going to be a great show.
We're making it happen. Hey, so I'm excited about that. But that's going to be a great collaboration. It's been in the works for a long time now, and so we're finally blessed to bring it to our platform. Lori, I was letting our Facebook individuals know what we're going to be doing next week. We are going to be having, and Lori, I believe it's Mr. Charlie going to be on the show next week. Can you tell our panelists a little bit about Mr. Charlie?
We're going to have Mr. Charlie, who is an artist. He's a rap artist. I think he also does R&B. We're going to have our friend Big Tap from Big Tap Consulting that will be on with us, and he'll be introducing and talking with Mr. Charlie. He's got some really interesting and some good music. So I invite you all to join in and bring all your questions to Mr. Charlie.
It'll be an amazing time. How are we looking on time, Dante?
We've got 1 minute left, guys.
1 minute left. Well, I had a blast. Lori, do you want to outro with our amazing panelists, please?
Yes. So we had a wonderful time again. Thank you, Joylyn, being the voice of our millennials. Thank you, Lori. I think you're going to run for president, right?
Yes.
Chris,
once again, vice president.
Vice president, you'll be that candidate. And Chris, thank you so much for your voice. And my girls, the ladies of the chat, you got some last minute words for us?
Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day.
Right, Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
I do have a question for Lori and Jackie, and I know, Jackie, your schedule gets booked pretty quickly, but I know some of the things we like to do from our show is some action steps, and I think what Lori was saying as far as maybe getting together and talk about the voting and talk about that. I don't know if we can pencil that in and want to, I know your schedule gets booked pretty quickly, but I don't know if that's something you may consider so we can have that dialogue about
Absolutely.
vote for, coming up in the future and, try to educate our audience and get some feedback so we all are, heading in the same direction with that.
Right. Yes, that's a great idea, Michelle. We would definitely do that.
I'm gonna. We're meeting. I meet with my family once a week on Zoom, and so we have a couple of parole officers and police officers and educators and all mixed array of stuff, entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And we're gonna outline some of the things that everybody's gonna be responsible for. And so I'll definitely share that with you all, and then let's make some steps to let's grab somebody.
Right.
Let us do it together. And then let's link up with someone else to join in with us, so then they can just share it, and we could be an outpour.
Right. Well, the Poetry of Justice show, we'll commit to getting that on our calendars, and we'll just make this circle bigger and bigger and bigger, and we can definitely share and talk. Shelly C, last parting words.
I want to say good night and happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Happy Father's Day to all the amazing
Emo, Eric, Joe. Petey, I call him Petey. Happy Father's Day to all of you guys.
Great.
Macario Rosales.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. I think we're out of time. I'm giving you your off the air nod from Dante.
Dante said we going, but we can chop it up a little late if you want to, guys. But I don't know. We had a good time here tonight. You never know. We had some funny Facebook things going on, panelists, but we strong. We kept it rolling. So we did good. God is awesome. But I like that information about changing the way we think. But I think we really got to do that, ladies. We got to start. And thank you to Chico Brown. Thanks, Chico. Happy Father's Day.
Yes, happy Father's Day, Chico.
With his family visiting. So I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in with us. But on the real, you guys, I think we need to start chasing that dollar. You know, where is our money going? And I think, like Shelly was saying, we need to take the time to do that research to find out who these owners are, who owns the franchises, who's supporting racism in terms of like where are they putting their money. You know what I mean? Those people, like, I don't, you know, I did a little bit of research, you know, Miko got me doing some, you know, research on that. And like you say, Lori Rucker, we need to share that information as a community.
Yeah, share it with me. I'm creating a file right now, and then, like I said, I'm gonna try and work with somebody young that knows how to do the technological side to where it's like it's easily accessible. You know, just hey, click on this, and you'll have a whole link of everything, and it's all in one place. Because I think you can go to different spots right now and find it, but if we could just have all in one place, and as you find places. You know, and then I'm thinking about like, how do you vet it? How do you make sure it's really Black owned?
Legit. Yeah. Well, it looks like we got to work, but like you said, we got to do the work, Lori. You told us we got to do the work.
We got to do the work. Put it in. So Tanya, sometime in July, we're going to have this on the calendar?
Yes.
Before the end of July?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Make it happen, everybody. So.
We are shaping our calendar now.
Okay, we'll get it going. But thank you to all of our Facebook viewers. We've had an amazing turnout. Thank you, Facebook, for being patient with us. I don't know if Facebook was tripping, but at the end of the day, in terms of, I don't know, they was kind of tuning out. But long story short, we got the show. We're here. I want to thank everybody. LaTanya Russell. Thank you, Roddy Rob, for calling in. Queen Jean of the G. Lou Show. We've got Snow Brown in the house. I thank everybody for tuning in, taking your time to spend your Saturday nights with us. It really, really, really means the most to Lori G and I, ladies of the chat, and all of those who support the show. So thank you so much for your time tonight. And I'm out.
All right. Good night.
All right.